engendered human rights protest. One of the very best anti-border wall songs, in fact, was written in 2006 against George W. Bush's retrograde fence along the border. It's a finger-pointing ballad by Tom Russell titled "Who's Gonna Build Your Wall?" The song took on fresh relevancy when Trump won the 2016 U.S. presidential election. As Russell wrote, "There's one thing that I most fear. It's a white man in a golf short with a cell phone in his ear. Who's gonna build your wall, boys? Who's gonna mow your lawn? Who's gonna cook your Mexican food when your Mexican maid is gone? Who's gonna wax the floors tonight down at the local mall? Who's gonna wash your baby's face? Who's gonna build your wall?" The lyrics to "Who's Gonna Build Your Wall" are modeled after a real-life San Diego developer who used undocumented Mexican immigrants to build the border wall to keep them from entering California. For Tom Russell, there is something perverse about U.S. taxpayers building a border wall instead of rebuilding America's deteriorating infrastructure. It's a true story, Russell explained. It's a sort of tongue-in-cheek song, of course. I did it on the David Letterman show years ago. The CBS staff didn't want me to do it, but I told them to ask Dave. Unconcerned about fallout or sponsor complaints, he told them to let me sing it, and I did. What Russell understands is that music and satire are powerful weapons in the anti-wall movement. Likewise, this book reminded me anew that shared music between the U.S. and Mexico can be a change agent. Just as rock and roll and jazz helped bring down the Berlin Wall, the power of the Fandango might derail Trump's boondoggle. This was the altruistic thinking of Sehgal and O'Farrill as they helped organize one of the most innovative musical events in recent U.S.-Mexican history, a multimedia project inspired by a festival held Memorial Day weekend in Playas de Tijuana in 2018. Besides being a brilliant jazz composer, Arturo O'Farrill, a Mexican native and musical prodigy, is one of the top musicologists alive. As the director of the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra, based in New York City, he eagerly embraces the musical traditions of myriad cultures. Often dressed in loose-fitting Guayabera shirts with bright-colored Converse sneakers, O'Farrill has the owlish look of a Mexican musicology professor weaned on the music of Dizzy Gillespie. He is a one-person global jukebox and connoisseur of the son jarocho musical traditions from Veracruz, Mexico, which is the heart and soul of this Fandango project. The Mexican jarocho music O'Farrill taught me about is rhythm-infused. One big jam session for whoever can strum two chords in tune. Much like New Orleans jazz, Veracruz jarocho mixes elements of Spanish classical forms with African rhythms brought to Mexico long ago. The jarocho style swings and pulsates with high-octane exuberance. The word jarocho actually means brusque or out of order in Spanish. When applied to Veracruz, it means dance music that often includes such instruments as the Veracruz harp and a folk guitar played with an oversized plectrum and even virtuoso violin. As a professor of U.S. presidential history, I will forever associate Veracruz with Woodrow Wilson's unnecessary military intervention in 1913, triggering a 7-year war with Mexico. Even a century later, the grim memory of U.S. troops marching through the streets of Veracruz triggers residual anger in Mexico. Warren Zevon, in his album Excitable Boy, co-wrote the song Veracruz with Jorge Calderon about the tragic U.S. military incursion into the beautiful Gulf of Mexico coastal city from the perspective of a defiant, blood-in-his-eyes Veracruz resident. The song begins with this resolute eyewitness proclaiming his hometown love of Veracruz's cultural and spiritual wellsprings. "I heard Woodrow Wilson's guns, I heard Maria crying. Late last night I heard the news. That was dying. Veracruz was dying." What didn't get squelched by Woodrow Wilson's brazen intervention of Veracruz was the indigenous music and poetry. In this book, Kabir Sehgal, an accomplished jazzologist and composer, recounts the surreal political misunderstandings that occurred between these two great democracies with the